Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the second video covering the rest of my win streak to diamond. So during all these videos, I'll attempt to mimic my real camera movements, and I hope you manage to get some insight from my jungle pathing, my reasoning, and maybe it could help you with your own games. So whenever I start games, I really enjoy going straight out the base into one of the top riverside brushes, and based on your location, if you get there first, it's impossible to get ganked. If you do get there at the same time as the other enemy, you'll see them. So from our brief little skirmish, we managed to get a flash out down at top, and in this game, I'm starting top side due to Trundle top. So Trundle top, due to this kit, will probably win side, even if I do gank Fiora, because he has lethal tempo, his Q steals AD, his R steals like 40% of your defenses and stats. Basically, he's going to win side 1v1 unless something crazy happens. So I think that starting top to focus my bot laners is a better idea. Both bot laners are immobile, and I would have expected Siobhan to start top in order to contest the immobile bot laners 3v3, but based on her leash, she started bot, so maybe she wants to snowball sides instead. I don't know. So right now, at our wolf camp, we have the option of flexing to a continued clear or a mid gank slash reverse top gank. So right now, we should take a look at all of our lanes. Right now, all of our laners are pretty stable. They're all at max health. So I like to do a transition gank mid because Diana is without flash. Normally, I don't try to punish it, but this game, I thought, why not? We know Shyvana started top side, she's in transition gank level 3, so she's got to be on Raptors. I noticed that Diana still had E, and this Kiana was getting smashed in with this huge wave. So it's very likely that our Kiana might have died if we didn't gank. Anyway, something that's really important to keep in mind when you do gank is the opportunity cost. So based on this gank, we lost about maybe 30% of our health, which makes ganking bot so much harder. And as Tyler once said, health is a very important resource. So if you're without health, you're limited. As of right now, based on my limited health, I should be farming or resetting, but since I chunked Diana mid earlier, and since she didn't recall, I know she's in brush, she's without flash, I could possibly get a gank off here. Unfortunately though, this Diana has a really strong burst. This is how her champion is, and Ekko without items does not do nearly enough to kill her, even with the stun. So a little bit of unfortunate limit testing, but Arkiana did get the crash, Arkiana did get the kill, so overall, not too bad, we're just a little behind now. So one thing I noticed when we're going out, we have two options. We can take bottom scuttle and our camp, or we could notice that top side are low, and we know Siobhan started bot side, so we could potentially counter game this. Now it's really close. If Fiora did die, we would be totally at a huge loss. We'd have to farm Gromp. Overall, it'd be really sad, but somehow it manages to work out. They don't manage to crash on time, so because of that, Fiora teleports back. I wait until the last minute to throw my skull shot because in the past I've thrown it directly, missed my shield, gotten smacked. I deserve to be an emerald because I totally missed it, but I memorized the near range of the towers. So with that and the limited resources, we managed to pick up the kill. Mid is missing though, which means I can't help shove this out. I'd probably get really smacked. So I kill the last minion that's keeping me in vision, and I head back. We see Diana's mid. Both mid laners are healthy, so we've got a good gank in top. All we just gotta do is farm and cover bot. Just looking at the health right now, I can see the enemy bot has low health. Our bot is chunked as well, so it may be a good idea to skip our entire bottom side and go directly, but that's no longer the case. Our bot laners are resetting, so we can go back to normally farming and heading back. We have a small item since we did die early after the assist on Diana, so we don't necessarily have to back. We do have some stats right now. So one thing you might have noticed is that the enemy mid is missing. And if you remember from Shyvana's start, she started bot side. So this has me really worried because Shyvana could be camping my red buff right now, and Diana's missing as well, and the bomb skull crabs up. All of this is really unusual. I don't know where they are, but they aren't on my red buff, so I managed to get that without incident. But if they aren't on my red, then where the heck is Shyvana? Because her top side camps her up, she must be bot side somewhere, right? She shows up. So I don't have mid priority, and as a result, I'm not going to contest the Skull Crab. I put a vision ward on the dragon just to give ourselves some coverage, just to know where Shyvana is if she does end up starting the dragon. But I ended up becoming a little confused because right now, let's look at top. So the wave is pushing, so it's possible Shyvana will have cleared bot into a bot gank since our bot lane is pushing, dragons up, but since that didn't occur and our top wave is pushing, then we should really head top immediately to perform a counter gank. So mid is really low, so we're starting to rotate towards mid, but mid manages to die. This Diana has a wave that's frozen against her, but she ran bot. We don't have flash, so we can't clean up the kill. We're going to go back to our original game plan of counter ganking top. Diana's pretty low, so she probably won't rotate. So it'll be a clean 2v2. Once you get past the halfway point of this wall, you become visible to the tower, so you don't want to get too close. Luckily, this Trundle was low. He wasn't really paying attention. Based on his movements, he didn't have vision, so it was just a simple gank. Since Trundle is dead and mid reset to do something, this is a pretty rare opportunity. So if Trundle's alive and Diana's alive and Shyvana is contesting, it would be really difficult to take Dragon because both Diana and Trundle are really strong champions. But luckily this happens to be out for the moment, so right on spawn I get essentially almost a free herald. Now, if you've noticed, mid has been missing all this time, even though she backed a little bit earlier. And Kiana has been chasing Shyvana under bot tower for quite a while, so she rotates straight there out of base, but that gives me a small opportunity. Very rarely will this Diana be out of lane, simply due to the mid dip, so now that she's out of lane, I can crash this wave, get Herald down, and get my Oracle ones back. I don't think it's ever really encouraged to hit tower if someone else is there, just for another play, because if you're with another laner, for it to be safe, you'll split 62 gold. You'll each get 62 gold, but either way, that's a lot of risk for very little reward. So top lane isn't exactly gankable right now. Trundle's wave is kind of pushed, but he's 100% health. If I were to gank him, I would need to chase him, and that's just not going to work out, so I'm just going to go farm mechanics. So Shyvana shows top side with a gank. Our top laner flashes out. Honestly, I'm really tempted to hop over the wall and smack her, but it'd be a 1v1 at best. Maybe a 2v2 now, like the Kiana showed up, but honestly, even if we do kill them, it's not like we'll get an objective. Diana will rotate, so there's very little point in forcing that kind of fight. We'll just farm bot and go to our bot lane, I guess. So recently, Shyvana was top. She failed the gank. She could have reset and gone bot side, or she could be heading from top to bot. Either way, we'll eventually need to head to bot. For a little bit, I get distracted by top. I think that's possible to gank. No, it isn't. He's 100% health. Fiora is stuck. So, right now, we saw Diana slightly rotate bot lane. I thought she was warding my Raptors, but it looks like she's going for a full-on bot gank. I would say it would be an avoidable death. But either way, during this time we saw Shyvana appear in her bot jungle, so it's really only Diana that gets fed, not Shyvana. So the enemy ADC was really low earlier, but so it could be a good idea to try to walk over there for a gank, but it doesn't look like she is too interested in fighting, and this Ashe is a little too far away, so there isn't a gank possible here. I'm not going to show on vision. Since I'm here anyways, I might as well see if I'm on vision. If you attempt to gank, I would say even if you should attempt to gank if you suspect there's vision, only if your opposite side is safe. So since top lane's safe, it would be okay to show for that type of gank. But regardless, if you do go for a gank and it doesn't work, I recommend you sweep out the vision, add some pressure, add some uncertainty, and since your position has already been exposed, why not? So bot lane, there's no gank to be had, there's no dive to be had, so I just give them a control ward for some protection against Shyvana. And I'm going to start heading to a bot gank. I'll do Raptors, Red, Krugs. Oh, so this Diana's taking a few too many tower shots for free, so this Diana has been a big problem all this game. I wait a little bit because I actually don't know her kit. I don't know if her shield fades over time, but regardless, she ends up eluding me. I have to use my R, but at the very least, my mid laner gets to reset and crash. Since we got the shutdown, and since Dragon is about to respawn, now would be a good time to reset and spend. Our bot lane is pushing up, but thankfully this Shyvana is a vegan. She cares more about blue buff than rotating to her laners, so we get a support kill for free. So right now if we take a look at our map, our ADC has no health to contest. So we can't just take Dragon, we'll probably have to wait for them to reset. Or we can potentially kill the enemy bot and resolve the tension. However, it's going to be really difficult to dive the ADC. Shyvana appeared right here. She failed to R over the wall. She might have been in the area of the Dragon, but regardless, that gank failed. We don't have bot priority since our ADC reset. Our mid would smack, the enemy mid would smack my ass if I tried, so I go for it. I go to try to get a pick on the rotating laner instead of the actual instead of the actual objective, and I almost get a kill on this Diana, but Milo manages to peel her just in time, so it was a good attempt. Right now there's nothing more to be had, so I'm just gonna get out of here. So mid should get the crash because Diana was low, but looks like she's back. It might be a good idea to rotate to mid if Diana decides to stay. Bot lane looks like it's going to reset. I'll take the crab while I'm here. The entire bot jungle is gone, so Shyvana's probably topside or reset, which means I could potentially go for an ADC dive if they manage to crash. I bet Malo would be back in time though. Or I can go top and contest Rift Skull since everyone's topside now. On the way, our mid laner skirmish, Diana would have won, but thankfully I'm in the area and I notice. And since Diana's dead, now's a good time to try for Rift Herald. It'll probably be a 2v2 top. Shyvana's probably top. Our Fiora is here, but at the very least, Diana won't be here with her AoE, so now's probably the best time. Trono's preoccupied taking tower away from something else, so we have this briefest of windows. So the 2v2 happens. I kind of miss most of my spells, but thankfully Trono runs off gas after this one enemy, so I R'd his R, hopped out, we trade 1 for 1, I get the Rift Herald, not too bad. Checking the Krug camp here honestly was really dangerous because I don't know where Diana was. If she wanted to get me directly, she could be on me, smack the cone, get me really trapped, but that doesn't go punished. So here we are. Alright, things to do. Right now, not too much is happening on the map, and so we can go and clean our top jungle before Trundle takes it all away. This Diana has a lot of balls. She manages to kill my laner right in front of me. Unfortunately, mid gap, it is whatever. But now my bot lane's fighting, and our mid just died. I have no idea where Shyvana appears bot, so this could be a really bad 3v4. I'm going to try to get some vision on the Diana, but if our bot lane does get caught, I don't think I'll fully rotate, because we're at a numbers disadvantage, and if we do kill him, it's not like we could get much from it. But since bot lane's low, I decide now would be a decent time for an invade. Their enemy support who's really low gets killed. I stopwatch Shyvana Q thinking it would do more damage, but I probably didn't need to. Diana's starting to rotate, but luckily, we're kind of organized. So I managed to get my full combo on her. Since I do get my combo, I get some movement speed. She gets a nice burst. Our ADC manages to kill her, but unfortunately gets hit by a Jinx rocket. So now it's just the ADC bot, and they're dueling. So I can't really dive the ADC because she can run backwards. I need a wave. But Xerath just manages to Super Chad win the 1v1 duel, which gets me a free tower, and just my work was cut out for me. I was really ready to flash into that tower too, just in case. So Shyvana appears top, Qiyana kills Shyvana. I can't believe that Shyvana is worse than our Qiyana, but I guess it's just a resource gap. Jungle gets no resources, laners get all the XP and gold, and since not too much is happening on the map right now, our bot lane is going to lane, our mid laners in our jungle, our top laners pushed in. I could potentially just farm Shyvana's blue and get out since she's dead, but honestly, Dragon is about to spawn. The blue might be nice, but it would throw off my tempo. And I want to contest for Dragon since it'll be soul point. So I managed to spend and get the Dragon on time. Because I reset early, I even managed to catch mid wave, which Diana shoved. So the mid lanes are in a neutral position, which allows us some access to the river and denies them middle river access. But since Diana was early, she managed to get a decent ambush off on me. Since I know this Diana is overextended, I'm trying to stall this out as long as possible just so my team can rotate, but unfortunately Milo Q manages to CC me to where Diana RCCs, and I just mistime my stopwatch. So through a series of unfortunate events, we lose a favorite fight, but at the very least, this Diana was overextended, she does die. Now that I've been dead for a while, and the enemy top rotated, we just get overwhelmed. It is what it is. Our Fiora does manage to get a tower or a wave or something of the sort, so it's not all for nothing. But it was a fight that we were supposed to win. It's really unfortunate now that we're on soul point, but I think we can turn back. So, one of the things I've noticed is that Ekko scales really well. He has really big AP ratios, but a lot of his kit is burst. His passive only occurs every 6 seconds, and once the burst is done, his main source of damage would really just be his second combo, which if you could live long enough for that, that's great, and his WXP passive. If the enemies get to be really fed, then you get killed before your R can do anything and you can auto attack. And sometimes your kit just becomes totally useless, but thankfully for this Trundle, I still do a lot of damage, and he gives away a really good shutdown. However, since the ADC is dead, since I showed bot, I bet, and since the entire team is off the map, I'm thinking that they're thinking Baron. So Kiana does the brave work of checking. Looks like they are on Baron. Unfortunately, I don't get any kills, but I do show up. Fiora does reinforce, and because Fiora shows up, I think we could possibly get a kill. They just the CC and poke and slow really get me, so we don't really get any. We don't get Milo or Shyvana. Diana flashes and almost gets me, but thankfully my blue jungle pet just gives me the advantage when it comes to running. So she can't catch me. I kite her out. Trundle gets kited out. And I think what's on the menu now is some purple meat. So Shyvana's alive, which means it's possible she could jump in and steal the dragon since we're all really low. I told Fiora to come in and tank because in the past, I've been really done in by Jinx Rocket, and if Fiora isn't here, Shyvana could literally just jump in and get all this and steal drag. Luckily, Jinx already didn't manage to kill us. I dodged it since I've learned from experience. I had some vision onto Jinx so she can't test, and now's a good time to reset. So I want to reset right now, but I noticed that I'm just a little bit of gold short for an item. There's no point in recalling if you just have to recall if you don't get power, if you're going to have to recall soon anyways. So I look for that little extra bit of gold, and then I recall for my item.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Alright, I finally have the item to get Void Staff. This allows me to damage Trundle and maybe Shyvana if she gets really tanky in the future. I know sometimes these AD Shyvanas get really tanky and impossible to kill, so this should help with both of them. I are back because when it comes to the trade-offs, I think trading R for full health and an item and being able to cover our pushed mid lane is worth so much more than saving it and maybe walking back and not being able to use it at all. So Shyvana gets caught here. I mistime my abilities. I use Q early, so she manages to escape. I actually don't see Trundle, so I totally ruined Xerath's escape plan. The blast cone. Sorry, Xera. And now this is forward, so I'm forced to try to do a good burst of damage, otherwise Trundle will just run over us. But that burst is just enough for our Ashe to start kiting and getting some burn on them. So we have two ADCs and we have a tower. I'm the assassin, and this Jinx egoed it. She got hit by one of Ashe's abilities, got slowed, died for greed. And here I almost died for greed. I don't know if that Q would have slowed me. I didn't take a look at the items, but I had no dash. I had R out. Alright, so we had a pretty good sequence just now. We got Baron, all of that stuff, but soul points coming up, and if I reset, it'll take way too long for me to get to Dragon. They would burst it before me. It takes 30 seconds to walk there and 8 seconds to reset. Not a good time. Kiana managed to make it out safely, but she recalls, which means that we're in a 4v5. So at this point, I'm trying to dodge every ability, especially Diana's, but I think Diana went in way too early because she walks into Fiora and this assassin isn't killing our top laner. Top laners just have too much health, too much armor, they can't be bursted. She's in for a bad time, and so she dies for pretty much almost nothing. Soul is prevented. Overall, this Diana getteth and taketh away. So now that Fiora is top and our mid and the rest of our team's mid, I really just gotta protect those 2 lanes and make sure our little group here doesn't get collapsed on, probably by Trundle. So Trundle's up there, which is really reassuring on posturing, but they don't seem to be engaging. So since that's the case, I think, hey, might as well hit the other tower, right? Wrong. So it's time for them to engage. And unfortunately I walked back into my W and get tagged by a slow or 2. And because that's the case, I just am unable to run. I'm perma CC, so I sacrifice myself, go the opposite direction. Thankfully I managed to take the ADC down with me, but without it, it would have been a really big throw. My team barely managed to kite Trundle. I am really glad they managed to do so, otherwise they could have just turned this around again. So over here, Diana's a little impatient. She flashes to get onto the Zera. The Zera doesn't support. She gets exhausted and perma-kited by the Ashe. At this point, this Diana's mental is gone. So whenever the enemy's base has indirect vision of everything inside the stairs, so even if you don't think you're on vision, that Ashe was still visible to the enemy team, so they went to collapse on her. If you want to recall, you should recall just outside the steps. So anyways, we're in such a big lead now, they really can't do anything other than get random picks and not do too much with it. We have 3 inhibs, which means we get 6 supers per wave. Even if we get aced, they probably won't be able to end. So that's reassuring at least. We gotta end sooner though, otherwise they might just get fed. They do have the Jinx. Since we don't have any objectives left, the only objectives would be Nexus Tower and Nexus. We decided to go for a neutral objective, the Baron. I mean, why not? The rest of the enemy team is all in vision. 4 of them show them vision right now. I think Shyvana was in base earlier, so there's a very low risk of this being stolen. There's Shyvana. She isn't even contested. So now that we have the Baron, all we have to do is walk down mid and end. I'm a little low on health, so just for safety I'm going to top up, get myself an elixir, and make sure I'm in the best shape possible to end. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. I thought that if I recall it would be fine because Fiora would need to recall and walk as well, but she just freaking teleports and my team finishes the game without me. Like, look at this. They don't really need me at all. Fiora's just running over them. Kiana manages to waste her R on a Trundle trophy. That's pretty funny. But overall, they got all these minions, they can sit back, get a free win. This Kiana though manages to get caught. And since this Diana has been the best of the enemy team so far, I really don't want to take any chances. I'm just going to go flash, get her out, get out of this game. Trundle gets hella chunked while I buy time for the turrets to fall, and now it is GG. By the way, E2 has a buffer time of 0.2825 seconds, so if you stopwatch during that time, you'll still continue to attack, but you'll show up in Hourglass form. So this is the second to last game before I got Emerald, and with this, I have two more games in my win streak. Hopefully you got to see some of my decision making from this one. Hey guys, this is the third game I had before I hit Emerald. This game is a little bit special because I recognize the enemy jungler. There's a jungler that goes around playing Eve Electrocute Ghost, and I versed him before. I went 2-9. I think it was a horrible bot lane difference because my bot lane managed to lose solo before I even got there for a gank. But because of our shared history, I was really excited to try my best this match and do my best. So as with any starts, we think about where we start. On this game, Gwen is a good carry, but do I really want to put Malphite behind? I think it would be more useful to try to gank Tristan, since historically I've had a problem ganking her in mid-game with her mobility and her R. And I know from experience these lanes tend to be very aggressive, so maybe I can catch them with their pants down early on. Looking at the map, we think Evelyn's there topside. Malphite might have leashed for her. We're nearing our third camp, so let's take a look over. Evelyn's Raptors are still untouched, so we still don't know where she is. But as of right now, she appears on her Raptors, so we know she started red, we know she's about to be level 3, and we know she's heading bot. Mid lane isn't exactly gankable right now, and we know Evelyn can't be ganking mid because the vision would block a transition gank, so she's got to be in her bot side somewhere. Since enemy bot is being really aggressive, you saw that Leona E just now, that means they're pushed up. It might be before they have vision, so let's try to go for a gank while we have Cryo, and while Evelyn's still farming some sort of camp. So Tristana goes really deep in, and I finished my dash and managed to buffer my E2 onto Tristana. If you flash anytime after Ekko starts buffering his E2, namely after his dash stops, it's unpreventable. A flash wouldn't prevent Ekko from blinking to the location. So I don't shove bot because historically Yasuo lanes have been able to shove really quickly by themselves. So I was really surprised. The enemy jungle ended up hitting Emerald 4 as well, but the enemy jungler was able to pick up on this timing. The brief timing when Leona with her body blocked the wave. This is a really special case because Yasuo is a melee ADC. If it was any other ADC, she probably would take way too much poke blocking it. So Leona manages to block the wave, set up a gank opportunity for Tri. Tri sees the timing, gets the gank. Overall, it looks to be a close game. Both junglers are performing really well, identifying the timings really well. So right now the game state is about even. I took my entire top side, so now I'm just casually cleaning my bot side camps while I'm in the area. I took red immediately after because sometimes if you gank, then the enemy jungler will try to contest your red with their respawn laners. We managed to get our red. The multi-target camps are a little easier to defend, so we're just going through them. I could potentially go top, but if we do go top, it'll corrupt our pathing. Our idea was to go from top to bot to punish the enemy bot lane. It would be much better to reset, get an item advantage, and then go from top to bot again. So Gwen just got a kill just now. She was really low. She was topside. She saw Evelyn. Evelyn's 24 CS. That means she must have done a full rotation, so she should be up there on Krugs, Scuttle, or Raptors. Probably Krugs. So since she's pathing from top to bot, we're also going to path from top to bot. We're going to be a little slower than her, which would give us an advantage when it comes to maintaining pressure and preventing her from actually executing a gank if she realizes my position, which I think she does. So I've noticed that whenever you play champions that can jump across walls, it's better to take your Wolves Camp instead of your Gromp, even if you're sequencing from top to bot, because the Wolves Camp is closer to your base. It's very rare you'll take your Wolves after a play because you're going to have to go back really far, whereas with your Gromp, Raptors, and Krugs, they're all pretty close. I'm initially really hesitant on ganking Malphite right now because Gwen was level 5, but after a few hits, she turned level 6 and did quite a good amount of damage. And so since I'm in the area, since I showed, I might as well get rid of vision and give Malphite some pressure. Maybe he'll be forced to back. So Gwen's really insistent on the dive, so because mid is being pressured, TF can't R, I think it would be reasonable to gank top. We only have like a few minions left, so Malphite tries to get me he misses. Either way, we don't do enough damage, so we fail the gank, but we do live. Since TF is missing, probably backed, and Evelyn is missing, I really want to crash this wave, so that way we can safely reset. However, Jace is mid. Given how things go, if there's anyone that's going to be ganked first, it would probably be him rather than me. So Evelyn just showed up on Dragon, TF showed up mid, I think I'm out of range. I really want to clear my top jungle and reset because it would be such a waste to have to reset to get health, go top, clear it, and then have all that gold sitting in your inventory. So this is a really greedy move, but if I pull it off, I gain so much tempo, like an entire quadrant of tempo. TF goes missing, and he could gank anywhere, but he decides to gank top, rip Gwen. Can't really rotate her since I'm 1 health myself, so I just go bot and run with my tempo advantage. So bot's being heavily pushed in. To be honest, I have no idea where Evelyn is right now. It's been a while since I've last seen her. Oh, she disappeared topside. She has 44 CS, so given that little ward that I placed when I was trying to dive top, that gave me enough information to realize Evelyn's heading from top to bot again. So Rift Herald's up, she could possibly take it. Our mid's a little extended, but TF isn't here, so he isn't really gankable. Bot is going heavy in. We know Evelyn's top side somewhere, so now would be a really good time to rotate. TF recently used his R on Gwen, so he can't rotate, but either way, bot manages to get a pretty nice kill, and we cover them from dying. Not that we really needed to, since F was topside and TF didn't have R, but either way. So right about now, I showed on Vision, and it probably thinks I'm on Scuttle Crab. If I were to gank now, I'd lose very little, but TF knows where I'm coming from, so he hovers topside, so the gank opportunity is lost. Right now, bot is doing some heavy fighting. The global announcement for Rift Herald just popped, so I know that Eve just did her red side and Rift, she shouldn't be bot. Because if that's the case, I moved to try to punish bot lane, and for some reason Tristana doesn't have a jump, so we managed to get a pretty good gank off. This gives Yasuo a really good reset, and so now it's just back to the grind. Mid laners are really low. F could be kind of mid-side right now, so I should really start rotating to try to cover mid. Ev shows topside, kills Gwen. Because I don't have to cover mid anymore, I go back to farming. But Ev's been top for quite a while. Her entire bot side should be down. If by chance I wanted to create a vertical and punish enemy bot, it would be possible. It's just my champion isn't strong enough to do that consistently. Especially if they have a Leona and a Tristana with a gap. So I decided to spend my gold and to contest Rift Eve for my top camps. Jace did me a huge solid and teleported, so top tower didn't fall, which means there's a lot less of a risk of Eve invading, but even so, it would be nice to have eyes on Eve, so that way she isn't ganking my laners. So since Eve could be in my top jungle, normally if I didn't have any concern, I'd take Wolves and rotate to the rest of the map, but I went to check Gromp, and I looked top. Top is about to crash a wave. If we farm, we leave our top open to a Malphite F gank, so given everything that's happening, I push forward and I put myself as the furthermost, as the furthest out person to try to absorb Eve's ganks. So Eve's in the area, we managed to smack her a few times, get some vision. She's probably going to heal most of it back up with her health, but just the fact that we were able to get vision on her helps our bot lane tremendously, and our mid top. Mid is chilling, bot lane, and Evan will probably gank them in a little bit, but they have some time. So drag is spawning. Our bot lane is pretty safe right now. They aren't too far ahead of tower. So right now Eve could gank them, but given their positioning, there's no real urge to run there immediately. Jace is starting to rotate. This could be a good 4v3. However, it looks like they're engaged on something of that sort. Seraphine Aura comes out, Yasuo survives. All really, really good stuff. And now since Jace is here, we can 4v3. Now it's a 4v4 since TF is teleporting. Since TF managed to kill Jace pretty early, we don't have enough juice to really chase down any of the kills. It becomes a pretty bad 1-for-1, our mid laner for the support, but at the very least, our bot lane didn't die. It looks like they're going for a gank, which is really unusual. Like, this is a really bad time for it. They managed to kill Yasuo, but they trade Eve and Tristana for it. So it's not a really good trade. At this point, I only have the enemy supports here. I only have my support. I actually don't have that much damage. I do burst every 6 seconds and execute once they're under 30%. So I can't really take the dragon solo really quickly. It would be a good idea to reset and to contest. This also gets me my first item. I have Hextech Rocket Belt, and although the dragon's really tempting, our mid laner is really pushed up. I want to pass from top to bot to try to cover our mid and to make sure I can rotate the bot whenever they're vulnerable.
Turret plating will fall soon.
So Leona's trying to gank mid. Luckily we pinged the vision. About nothing's happening for the most part. Top is stale, mid is stale, bot is stale, so we can farm. The bottom scuttle is about to come up, so it could be a nice objective to contest. And given our positioning, I think we have a pretty good chance at our 4v4, although coin flipping wouldn't necessarily be beneficial in this case. Check-in is a good idea though. So Eve isn't on Scuttle and not on Dragon, so I have no idea where they are, so I try to clean up, but unfortunately TF stuns me right in place, so I don't get to use any of my life-saving measures. So overall, they managed to get a really good counter gank off, and now it's back to the drawing board, back to farming I guess. Game is even again. So from that death, I wasn't able to buy anything else. It was a pretty bad death. Right now, in terms of things happening on the map, our mid is low, so and Eve took dragon, so I should contest and defend my jungle. Maybe tell TF to F off. Eve covers TF, and I managed to get some good damage off on her, but I panic a little. I'm not too used to actually fighting an Eve that's even with me. I'm used to bullying them early and stomping them late, so I screw up a little bit. I escaped the TF gank though. There's very little he can do without R, and right now we should just be back to farming. I have low health, I don't have R, now would be a pretty bad time to force something. Despite that though, bot lane looks like they're wanting to fight, Leona's really aggressive, maybe I can make something happen with a counter gank. Looks like that dies out though. If they're really paying attention, they would see my Chronosphere on Vision, but I don't think they were paying that much attention. So going back to earlier, Eve is probably... I don't know if Eve is going from bot to top. She was bot recently after that gank. So she really could be anywhere at this point. I'm not really doing a good job of following her, but I am covering bot, which I feel is my most important lane. So there's that. Eve shows top side on red buff. It looks like she's continuing to head top to bot, which gives us an opportunity to 4-in-1 dive for Tristana. Unfortunately, the Tristana kind of gets wind of this early and escapes, but that's okay. Because of that, our bot gets a tower, which is really good. Since I'm going to have to be in the area anyways, I scout a little bit further ahead by taking one of the camps. I'm not too keen on staying since we got a tower we can spend, but it looks like they engage on us. So Yasuo cancels this back, Seraphine uses R, and it's super effective. Stun just gets AoE blown up. So we get a free victory there, and our bot lane is now solidly ahead. We see some vision of Eve and TF mid, and since they're kind of stealth champions in this setup, I'm wondering if we could maybe do really well if we engage on them, but I get really CC'd. I get stunned, rooted, so by the time I am even close, I'm all out of resources, and my R doesn't do anything, so I just die. Luckily, Eve in this case just totally blows it. She Rs and misses him. I don't know what she was thinking, but I think that was the little clutch thing that made this game more winnable for me. If she got that kill, our mid would no longer be as fed, and she would have a huge bounty. So, not too much is happening. I just died. I guess I'll just farm red. I'm going to take red so I get the slow in case anything happens, a little bit of a heal. We see Tristana bot lane, Leona's bot. I have no idea where Ev is, but Rift Herald's up, so there's not really much to do. I'm just going to shadow bot lane for now and see what happens. Gwen manages to take Rift. She's off vision, so that works out well for her. Since my entire team is starting to push up, and I have no camps left, I think it would be a good idea for me to match them as well, just be in the same quadrant in case Eve does show up. So over here, Eve makes a unforced air. She shows on vision, and she tries to gank even when she doesn't have R. Granted, I scrub a lot of the micro, I R gauss when I don't need to, I R when I don't need to, but her mistake was just that much worse. So that gives mid and bot the opportunity to get some free push. I'm trying to cover while taking this blue, and Malphite shows up. I try to slow him, he manages to Q me and speeds up. So I managed to burst TF just in time. Malphite tries to Q flash me, but luckily I just get out of vision due to that brush. Because I managed to heal a little bit, they just lose this fight, unfortunately. I'm wondering if Eve is in the area, so I heal up a little bit, try to help heal on jungle camp. I see her on the vision camp plant, but right now I don't want to commit too hard onto Leona. She's just a support, and if I do overcommit, Eve will get my bounty for free. So there's very little benefit in actually killing her other than maybe 300 gold. But anyways, Eve is in the area, and TF is back again. I've been here for over a minute. Yeah, I have still been unable to take this blue buff. So, this time around, Yasuo gets blown up. Malphite teleports, he's really angry, and so I try to get out of here. I'm really glad I survived, because that was a lot of bullshit they threw. Right now Dragon is up, but Gwen is here, so she might be able to discourage them, or she might just hint. Yeah, that's not good. But Gwen just did Gwen things. She pressed R, Gwen is immune, true damage. Wow.
Shut down.
So, I know TF is doing greedy back, so I EQ Proto Belt. All of that is queued together, so it's almost impossible to stop. He should have just ran. Vision is cleared around Dragon. I can maybe potentially start it since Yasuo is coming, so let's go for it. Evelyn's still dead. Since Evelyn's alive and might do some crazy shit, I'm going to place a control ward just on the most obvious and quick entrance. So now that Dragon's off the map, Baron is up. They could potentially be on it, but I really don't think so. So because of that, I'm going to go bot side and hope they don't burst Baron. Right now TF is pretty extended. There's in the tower bot side, so we could get a pick. Unfortunately, Jace uses his CC early and TF is able to teleport. But because that happens, I need to really run it top ASAP. So I chose bot, I guess we were engaged on mid, everyone shows up, they managed to get a kill on our ADC, but Jace teleports. Jace is pretty strong, but by himself he wouldn't do too much. I show up and manage to force Tristana back. She doesn't have a friend line, so she's forced to jump over the wall, and Evelyn screws off because against overwhelming power, she can't really do too much. We have this one minion which allows us to take the tower, and since the four of us are here and Tristana's overextended, we could do that 4 dive that we were thinking earlier. Ev shows up to try to peel, but there is no way she's peeling so many people. I noticed Malphite shows up in Vision, but instead of jumping out, I think maybe I could peel my team by throwing a Q instead. And I think it somewhat works because he dies, but at the same time, I'm almost dead myself. This is really just luck. I'm also really lucky TF didn't have Luden's Tempest, otherwise that AoE damage might have just killed me right there. Rip cannon. So overall this game, we've really just been running around with no strong objective in mind, just reacting to what's on the map, making sure the enemy jungler can't get super fed. Sometimes we've done well, sometimes we haven't, but overall, we've done overall slightly better, so we're in a slight lead. Our Gwen is really strong, our Jace is really strong, our Yasuo had a pretty decent laning phase, so as long as we play well, we should be able to close this out. Man, that's not a good time for Gwen. Since my laners are kind of pushing up, and I have no idea where Ev is, well, she appeared bot side, I decided to invade her jungle just to get some advanced vision, and since I have R. We know Ev showed bot side, so I'm gonna go wander towards her to try to keep eyes on her. She's currently farming Gromp, smited away. Unfortunately I panic here. I actually don't know her kit that well, so I stopwatch trying to avoid some CC when there was no CC. Regardless, I do escape really easily, so we have the locations of everyone now. We know Ev is bot side, Malphite's bot side, Tristana and TF are bot side. And Yasuo manages to catch Leona with a tornado. Malphite teleports and I drop a shield on myself thinking I'm going to get smacked. I managed to get a little bit away before I do get smacked, but because of that, I throw a actually really good W that captures both TF and T. So that totally just won us the fight unintentionally. This Malphite stopped briefly to throw a Q at me. That brief stop was all I needed to hit E2. So the entire team pretty much got aced off a lucky W. I'm not complaining. So since we have some extra time and since I really only do execute, I'm going to go Pierce Vision around Dragon, around Baron. That way they are slower when it comes to contesting. Gwen is topside too at the T1 power, so she'll probably be the first one they attack as well. Unfortunately she dies. I'm a little surprised. Maybe she's like a few too many power shots. TF appears, but it's much too late. Even though I don't have Smite, Ev was in base, so we got Baron, time to reset and contest Dragon. Ideally, I would have wanted to get something like Death Cap, but in this game, with how few auto attacks I can get, I'm thinking like maybe one auto attack on Twisted Fate, maybe one or two on Tristana. I go for Lich Bane instead, and it's the only thing I can afford. So I see TF out of position here. If I landed my full combo with E and Q, he probably would die without any of this happening. But since he has only soft CC and Everfrost, I managed to W Hourglass bait their entire team in. And because of that, Gwen teleports, she runs down Evelynn. That's just the weakness of Evelynn. And now we can end. Gwen is doing a lot of towers as well. We have a pretty good wave, and it's a 5v2, so we should be able to end. I tried to kill Tristana, but she jumps away, unfortunate, and I end up dying. But because she's been pushed away, she didn't get the chance to do any damage to my team members, so they managed to end the game. 4v1, 4v3, have a little bit of fun, this one's massive. Overall, a really good game, really defined by that lucky WR combo. Hey guys, thanks for making it this far. This game is less clean compared to the other games, primarily due to Jinx's gifts, but I'd still like to share regardless because this game kicked off my winning streak to Emerald 4.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
So we get off to a rocky start, but manage to turn the tables in an epic, close but calculated fight at Rift. As in any game, we start with location. So on top lane we have Garen with Phase Rush and Ghost. He has a little topper in terms of the gank, in terms of damage. He's really sticky, but I'd say he's a lot better at running away. I want to start top so we can focus on our immobile bot laners. Enemy bot has Jinx and Ashe, they don't have any dashes. Our bot doesn't have any dashes, so it would be a really nice lane to gank. Unfortunately, earlier we had a level 1 Fiesta, so I have little choice in which side I can start. Garen has like 2 health, and Ekko really sucks at starting top leashes. So you could potentially start on Wolves with Q, but Ekko's single target damage really sucks. He focuses primarily on his passive burst, and if he doesn't have his passive, all he really has is his W execute damage if they're less than 30%. Otherwise you're doing almost no damage at all. Anyways, so we start on red. Our game plan is to probably loop back around for a bot gank with our level 3 advantage. We don't know where Mumu started. Ashe appeared a little late to lane, but then again, she did recall mid after the skirmish, so he could be anywhere. I go around the far way because, if you noticed, if you remember, level 1, Ashe came from our Raptor Pit, so it's very possible there's a ward, and if you look right there, there's a ward corpse. So we know these wards last for about 3 camps, and since she must have dropped it early, like at maybe 30 seconds, it would be gone by the time we finish Raptors, so it's okay to walk past and do this gank. So they only have one ward, but they're being really cautious, and it looks like they really don't want to be ganked. They were heavy pushing until I showed, and so because they do show up, I get some poke on them, but Morg is overextending, so I'm forced to go back and heal her. I get my passive on this girl because I really want to run away, maybe get some chunk damage. And so Ash flushes forward, manages to get the kill. I land my Q slow and get Dark Harvest proc and flash out because I don't want to die. Jin manages to land his auto and flash, so overall, on our 3 for 2, we went 1 for 1. That isn't necessarily a great outcome, but I mean, we did get all flashes, so now we could either go top side, maybe Amumu's counter jungling us, we could tell him to F off, or we could go bot lane where there aren't any flashes. We're going bot. So looking at the map right now, Cat's really low health, mid's gankable, so it wouldn't be a wrong option to walk over here and try for a gank. Unfortunately, it's warded, so we clear it, add some pressure, Cat's forced to hover topside, and Mumu shows. He has really good aim. So, yeah, Ash shows mid, so I go mid in order to prevent some BS from happening. Ash must reset after the gank, and these supports, whenever they roam mid after a gank, they tend to ward your red Raptors brush, they can help the junglers steal your Raptors, they can disguise them and tell you where you are. Overall, all sorts of bad things happen, so luckily when I went that way, Ash didn't pursue the issue further, so back to farming. So right now our bot wave is getting frozen, so we may need to go bot in order to freeze it. Remember, bot doesn't have any flashes. So here we see a Mumu, he's kind of hovering, he's thinking of dragon, but since he doesn't have bot priority, he leaves it be. He shows up again, and luckily he manages to get really CC'd, and the gank doesn't turn out to anything much. I'm in the area just in case he wants to hit the control ward, but he doesn't contest it. Since he's not going to gank, since he's not going to do the dragon, since I'm not going to do the dragon, there's no point in me being bot, so unfortunately there's nothing left for me to do here. It's time to go top. So earlier on the map, I noticed that Cat warded this bush, and so it's possible she may be subject to a gank. Azir just hit level 6, so she respects it, walks away. It's really tough for her though, because as a melee into ranged matchup, your whole goal is to try to preserve your health and win the all-in, and when enemy jungle is always hovering, it's really hard to all-in safely. So she's just kind of stuck there taking poke. Looking at bot side, looks like the lane wave state is even, so it's gonna go top side. So unusually enough, this Scuttle Crab is still up, which makes me unsure of the Mumu's pathing. He could have started top side and taken the bot Scuttle when he appeared. He could have started bot side, skipped the top Scuttle and went straight to bot. The only way for me to figure this out would have been to press tab when he was at Scuttle bot side earlier, but given the fact that he showed bot and now he's top, I thought Gary would have seen a Mumu walk out from the bush, but apparently he didn't. Given that he was bot and now top, we know that there's a 99% chance he's going from bot to top, and so we can plan accordingly. So over here, mid is really low. I'm really tempted to gank, but unfortunately I don't have flash, and Cat's above level 6, so things could go really badly. Unfortunately it's 7 minutes right now, and I'm still only level 4. At this time it should be level 6, but at the very least, Amumu's also really low level, so it's not like I am that far relatively behind. So now that our tier 1 camps are cleared top, we are free to reset bot to go to our tier 3 camps. And since our flash is up again, mine is up in around 20 seconds or so. That means bot lane will have their flash again. So since Mumu was last seen top, he's probably bot side again. So let's look at the wave state. Our bot wave is pushing, and for our mids are both chunked and low, so that would be a good time to counter gank bot or to gank mid. I wasn't really thinking of this in the moment though, but thankfully Amumu misses his skill shot, or Morg E blocks it. I think he misses, otherwise he would have traveled. So I get bailed out and I don't get punished for my lack of thinking there. So now that our bot reset, Amumu's probably going to go top, so now would be a good time to cut and gank bot. If Amumu's top side, I can gank bot without any opposition, and maybe I can get something really going. So I take a look. Unfortunately, I see that the dragon is going, so bot reset, I don't think I can contest. I try to go for a pick onto the ADC, the rotating laner, but unfortunately I think she has a vision of it, so she manages to escape. I also normally keep R not leveled. I level up at the last minute just to keep it hidden, but in this case, I really wasn't expecting to jinx R, so I got caught off guard and I didn't get that done in time. So over here, I actually found this really funny to watch. Look at how they try to dive the enemy bot. It's a good idea to dive because you could get all sorts of plates and other stuff, but the way they dive, this Amumu gets killed, Jinx gets executed, Ashe almost gets executed as well. Like, look at this. So while all that was happening, Set used his priority top side to drop vision on Rift, and he's in my jungle somewhere. Luckily for him, I don't have to worry about my jungle because Amumu ignored his entire top side for Dragon. I have no idea where he went afterwards. If he reset, he should be on Krugs or where I'm at. Looks like he might have reset late and went mid. Whenever you have a jungle up, it's never a good idea to show, because in this case, I was only going to steal Raptors in red and maybe get out because I didn't know where he was. He could have reset to go to Krugs. I would have been really, really trapped. But since I know he's mid, and since I know where he was, it gives me the time to take Krugs, set up deep vision. I see him. Whenever you're invading a jungle, whenever your jungle gets invaded and you see all your camps gone, you get really worried about your close lane because you know they're there, you know they have priority, they're going to gank, you have to counter gank. But in this case, I knew Amumu was in the area, so I didn't ever really seriously gank Set. So Amumu managed to waste his flash Q and got worried for nothing. So right now Amumu's in a really bad spot. He's topside right now, and he has no topside camps. Top lane isn't exactly gankable since Garen isn't even visible. Mid lane is not really gankable either. It's possible, but his mid lane is behind, so he's stuck in a really awkward spot. He could be on Rift Herald. If so, it would be a really weird decision. Turns out he is on it. I missed, so I poked down the Rift Herald a little bit. I don't have Smite, so I don't want to get this Rift Herald any lower, but I want to keep him tied here, so that way Garen can rotate. I think Set must have reset earlier because he should have priority, but he doesn't. So over here, Set finally shows he probably did reset, but because of that, because of Amumu's impatience, he pretty much loses that close duel when in almost all cases with good macro he should win it. So that pretty much was the nail in the coffin for Amumu. When it comes to jungle, you really don't come back from one of those. Right now, it could be possible to take Rift Herald, except I really don't know where Amumu is, and I really just need to wait for a few more gold so I can have 1915 for Rocket Belt. It could be possible to gank top, but do I really want to with no resources, no items? Now that I
Turret
have
plating will
R
fall
coming
soon.
up real soon and I have Proto Belt, now would be a really good time to gank bot. So I sweep, there's no vision, enemy bot is still pushing, so they get really punished. So with all that damage, I think Jinx didn't even bother flashing because she knew she was dead. There's just no escaping that. And that's the power of a power spike. So over here, I have limited experience with Morgie, so I are a little bit early, but I'm really proud of the fact that I didn't move even though I knew I was going to die to Cat. One of the really annoying things about Cat and Yasuo is their mobility. If your teammates are low and panicking and running in all directions, Cat and Yasuo will just blink to them or dash to them, and it makes killing them so much easier. If you know you're going to die, just stand still and don't give an opportunity for Cat to move. So right now the game is pretty even. I have 2 deaths, but mid's ahead, top's also ahead, and with the whole mid thing, I think I could attribute it to how Cat was never able to all-in Azir. It really sucks for her because many times Azir is low, but he gets the back and Cat can't really push it too hard since her jungle isn't providing coverage she needs. I go on mid-wave just to thin it out a little bit to prevent Cat from getting any plates. We know what happens when Cat gets fed. So unfortunately I missed the cannon, but hey. So right now I don't know if Amumu's on Rift, but given his pathing and timing, he could be topside. Luckily that deep ward is paying great dividends and it's telling me he is not on the Rift. Since he's a little further ahead in his quadrant than I am, that means I have the option to stall for longer. Eventually at some point, he's going to want to go for the Rift, but if I'm still here, it's really risky for him to take it, because he can get mad counter-ganked. So we're really just stalling, taking our camps, and whoever has more camps can last in this quadrant for longer. However, my Garen doesn't seem interested in contesting for the Rift Herald and set Axe as a scout to get some advanced vision. So since that's happening, I know that I probably won't be able to get Rift, so I just let it be. The global announcement happens, Set's missing, Amumu can have Rift Scuggler as well. So Dragon is up in a little bit, so it should be something that we can test for. Mid is about to... We don't have mid here yet, but enemy mid is about to crash only a small wave. She probably won't get too much tower damage. And we have some priority bots, so Amumu is spotted. Ideally, whenever you see Amumu, you want to pre-chunk him before a fight. You don't want... Whenever a fight's happening, that would be the worst time to actually try to chunk Amumu, since there are better targets. And if he's alone, he's going to follow up on his CC. You gotta hit him as much as you can while he's not in a team fight in order to give your team the best chance. As long as you don't die, of course. So since Set teleported to Dragon, I'm not too interested in contesting a 3v5, and Garen manages to get a first tower as well, so overall it's a pretty decent trade. So right now, Garen is at top tier 2, and Amumu was seen rotating from bot to top. Because this is happening, I need to rotate top in order to participate in the 2v2 with Amumu and Garen. Luckily, Cat is rotating bot side instead of top side, so we're not forced into a 2v3. Azir rotated bot. I don't know what they're doing, but Amumu is leaving the area as well, which means I can leave Garen and Set alone. If we look bot, they're doing some sort of fighting. Yeah. If something happens, either way, it doesn't really matter to me since I'm not in the area. Amumu manages to drop Rift mid. I don't necessarily have to go, but I really do enjoy rotating to Rift player drop to Rift Heralds because they die in one hit and they do contribute towards your monster quest. Also got a little bit of health from it too. So over here, since Amumu dropped Herald and disappeared, I'm assuming that since he got tower, he's probably back to Spender or something. So now's a really good time to try to trade damage onto towers. Unfortunately, Amumu does show up at this time, so I'll have to flash out. In the previous game, I've lost to a Blitzcrank by going to mid at 1340, dropping Rift, and then immediately getting hooked and feeding. So yeah, I totally get it, man. So we get some damage onto the top tower, and onto mid tower. Over here we have 3 bots. Enemy support is mid, so I could potentially gank Ashe as she rotates over here, or we can maybe dive Jinx. Over in mid they're having a 2v2. Someone drops a ward, can't be a support, it's a jungler. Amumu really is here not to gank, but rather to prevent us from 3v1 diving Jinx. So good play on his part. Over here, he continues back on vision, and since we're pretty fed, now is not the right quadrant to get caught in. He uses flash, Morgana and Black Shield is pretty OP, and we get out of there. So there's a possible dive on Jinx now that we do have that 3v1, but we don't have a wave, and enemy Ashe is coming soon, so we can't really dive. It looks like bot lane they had a 2v2. Amumu should be top side with how I took his bottom side, but regardless, I'm going to hope I rotate there first and clean up the kill. I get a little bit of extra movement speed and brushes, so I don't bother to waste a skill shot on her. I just walk up to her, auto, and she goes down without any issue. Since our ADC is bot alone, and since tower's low, I should scout for him just to get some advanced vision. Maybe he can get solo gold, solo XP, solo turret. So I move on ahead. If Amumu's in the area, he'd be around here. If someone else is ganking him, like a support, that's not my problem. I get a camp to sustain me, which is quite nice. And over bot, our ADC manages to take the tower without issue, so now's a good time to reset and contest for the dragon. So after I spent, I decided to get Azania's Hourglass. I feel like an Hourglass would help me avoid a Amumu bandage, maybe stop a Cat R from totally wrecking me, or maybe I could dodge an Ashe R, who knows. I feel like there's a lot of options to outplay with it, and so I feel like that's a good decision, more important than avoid. I take red buff because I don't think I'll be back to my jungle quadrant anytime soon. Since Morgana had full vision, the drag fight was pretty unfair. Azir shuffled, got them all in. for some reason, Set decided it would be a good idea to TP /R the ADC. He doesn't really accomplish much. He doesn't even get an objective dragon from it and just ends up dying for it. So he throws his lead for about nothing. But then again, he did that for a second dragon as well, giving up his tower. So it is what it is. So I know the enemy team can't contest dragon because they gotta deal with Garen first. So this dragon's pretty much free. Since they're stuck top, bot wave is pretty close. I could probably get a wave or two in before resetting for Baron. If I stay too long though and I die, they could go Baron and get it for free. So I see it's pushing, I see enemy Jinx in bot jungle. I probably can't get that next wave without a fight, so I just reset and head on top. We see him move topside, heading top to bot. He was most recently on Krugs. So we could go to our top jungle and defend it, or we could maybe do something else. I really don't think this Amumu is going to invade. So far all game he's been kind of behind. So maybe I'll get blue buff and start invading, trying to get some vision. So since I think Amumu's bot side, I make a call to try to do Baron now, but luckily Morg scouts for me and sees Amumu on Raptors. She also sees Ashe, so I totally go for Ashe. I really don't care about Amumu, and I don't think I'll be able to kill him in time, so we pick Ashe, and now we're in a 5v4 situation. Enemy ADC's bots, they're not really around Baron, so they're not really seriously interested in contesting it, which is okay. Around this time, I'm noticing I'm taking a lot of damage. Jhin has really poor Baron damage, and I have really poor damage outside of my passive and execute, so I asked for Morgana to come on over and hopefully burn this Baron. Unfortunately, as soon as she arrived, Jinx's gift also arrived, so I arrive at a grace ring. So in this game, Garen does pretty well in lane. He manages to keep pushing towers when Set teleports. He manages to go 3-0, 1 in lane, but once lane ends, he gets totally lost. He ran down mid with the 4 people, but there was no reason for him to do so. He should really go continue staying top and pressuring, or maybe rotate bot and try to pressure that tower. So now that Set has Mercs as well as Amumu, now would be a really good time to get Void Staff. Over bot, we have Azir pushing a tower. He decides to trade his life for tower. I think he charged like 600 gold, so honestly it's not too bad of a trade.
Killing spree.
So right now not too much is happening. Our Jhin will eventually go mid, our Garen will eventually go top. We're in one of those game situations where we're pushing half a map and the enemy team is pushing the other half. We're pushing mid top, enemy team is pushing bot. Amumu surprisingly shows up over here. I kind of expected him to be bot side shadowing Set, but I guess it wouldn't be a bad choice to be here. So while Garen should continue to push top and pressure the top inhib. Maybe he can draw 3 people and allow us to push mid. I wouldn't be unhappy with Garen staying top and trading our tier 2 bot tower for their inhib, but Garen is starting to get really lost when it comes to what to do. I think he's trying to rotate down to match set, but why? Azir's over there. Well, at this point, we're really dead. Morgana and Jin have some decent poke, so Cat gets caught by the poke. As an assassin with a bunch of damage, I seal the deal. And really, right now, we're just waiting for the end. Garen is again mid, losing pressure elsewhere. He should really be on their top inhib, especially with mountain spawning. So he goes onto their inhib. There's still a few people mid, but he pretty much gets inhib for free. Azir right now is wanting to do dragon instead of pushing bot wave, which in my opinion is a mistake. The dragon should be an exit objective. At the end of the day, they're not going to be able to contest dragon or get anywhere near without their base falling apart. So maybe once we push their mid and bot inhibitor towers, once we can go no longer, we can fall back to drag. But essentially he's losing a lot of pressure for basically nothing. Our bot lane continues to diff. They're really ahead, so they managed to casually catch some enemies. Morgana got rooted for like almost ever, so she got to see my really slow Q coming towards her. At this point, the enemy knows that in order to stop our push, they're going to have to get a pick in one lane or another. Right now, the best lane to pick would be bot lane, because Azir is pretty high up. Garen is doing something weird mid again. He should really be on the Nexus towers, drawing two of them. So he finally goes back top, and now we're free to siege mid bot. So Garen is finally making his way over to the Nexus towers. So I expect in a little bit he'll peel 2 off. Over here, Azir makes a massive mistake of taking the heavy poke when he really just needs to wait for Garen. Set decides now is the perfect time for a pick, but one step ahead and shuts down immediately. He is really squishy after throwing his lead. Now we have our next challenger. I know Katarina wants to pull off some BS, try to get some picks and the push, so I'll put myself as bait, and I bait her using stopwatch W. So our bot lane goes pretty even. They do some sort of 2v2, but at the end of the day, our two solo laners are unopposed. This Mumu is stuck. It's just GG. So I don't really feel too well about this game. I did die 2 times randomly to a Jinx rocket, and there were a few major mistakes, namely not catching the bottom Mumu gank, but overall, I'm really glad it worked out, and you can see it's a little bit of a fiesta based on the overview, but we got there.